following contest is scheduled for one fall. Making his way to the ring from Robbinsdale, Minnesota, weighing in at 250 pounds, ravishing Rick Rude.
Get a load of those tights, Byron. Vintage Rick Rude right there.
Hey, the ravishing one certainly knows how to make a statement.
Allow me to point out just how focused he appears to be here tonight.
I noticed the same thing, Cole. In fact, it looks to me like he'll settle for nothing short of a victory here in this one.
What I'd like to have right now is for all you fat, ugly, inner city sweat hogs, keep the noise down while I take my robe off and show the ladies what a real sexy man looks like. Hit the music.
Binoculars, that's about as close as he'll ever get. Uh-oh, here it comes. Nighty night indeed. Goodbye.
I'm tired of being humble. I'm tired of letting people think they got a chance. The tribal chief is head and shoulders above everybody.
Hey, guys, we're here at the Locker Room Toss Ring Scandal. We're going to talk about what caused the tragedy of Rick Rude, the life and times of Rick Rude, who was born in 1958 and passed away in 1999. Let's get the likes of it. We come to the locker room, go air some dirty laundry. Now, Rick Rude, for those you don't know, he is a WWE Hall of Famer. He's also a WCW International World Heavyweight Champion, WCWA World Heavyweight Champion, WWF Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, WCW United States Heavyweight Champion, and other accomplishments that he accomplished. Now, Rick Rude, we know that he passed away at a very early age, only at 40, but, you know, he was reportedly trained to return to the ring. He was discovered by his wife as he passed away that morning. He resulted from heart failure at 40 years of age. It said that according to the autopsy, Rick Rude passed away because of an overdose of a mixed medication. It's speculated that he suffered the effects of taking gamma hydroxybutyrate, a drug that treats narcolepsy. If you guys know what I mean, narcolepsy. It's worth noting that Rick Rude, he became unconscious and fell to his demise. There were empty prescription pills bottled next to him. The nuisance passed away at an early age, sent shockwaves to the entire wrestling industry, especially as he left behind a wife and 3 children. However, Rick Rude's legacy would not be forgotten. Despite being passed away for over 2 decades, he got inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame in 2017, by his family, his son Rick Rude Jr., and his wife and daughter. Wrestling fans are familiar with Rick Rude's work, but he was good in the ring. I know Rick Rude was known for his toughness in the ring. He didn't take no nonsense. I know he's known for his backstage fight with the Ultimate Warrior. But Rick Rude, he was a tough dude, very, very muscular, very strong. He had good strength. I've heard in interviews, he was definitely all about his physique. You know, he definitely wanted to lift weights, stay in shape. Now, he did not pass away due to being on the juice or anything else. It was just the stuff that was in the system, as I stated earlier. However, we will have men that will speak about Rick Rude, such as Kevin Nash, such as Arn Anderson and Scott Norton. They will talk more about him. With that being said, let's get into it. Let's hear what these men have to say about the late Rick Rude.
Siwa, what are your thoughts on Rick Rude? To me, he was one of the most badass and underrated wrestlers ever. No one could sell an atomic drop quite like him. Thank you to both of you and Shawn giving us the most touching episode on Scott Hall. Bad guy is smiling down upon you.
Rude was my first mentor. of prominence, of somebody that was fucking over. And I remember the first time Rude came in to WCW, and it was like Sting's birthday party. I know we were in Milwaukee. And it was like after a pay-per-view, and Rude came in the back door and basically fucking just gave Sting probably 4 or 5 just fucking shoot shots. Like you know, fucking, he had the mouth was going, he had a fucking goose egg on the eye. And I just watched it and I just said to myself, like, oh, when you come in, fuck everyone, get over. You know? And then we started riding together, and he couldn't roll the joint to save his fucking life. So he was like, hey, Ben Man, can you fucking roll a joint? I'm like, yeah, I can roll a joint. He's like, all right. He'd always the same. Like, all right, I'll drive. We'd leave the arena. His gimmicks would kick in fucking 7 miles down the road. He'd pull over. Take the wheel, big man.
I was going to say, he was doing plenty more than the joint. So
yeah, but I remember one time we were driving, and I light a joint. I hand it to him. He hands me the joint back. All of a sudden, he fires up another one. I'm like, all right, we each got our own joint. I guess we just. The next thing you know, he forgets that he's got one in the ashtray, lights up another, and now we got 3 joints and 2 dudes. I'm like maybe Rick, we just like put 2 of those out and just kind of, you know, like, I don't think we need to fucking hotbox this motherfucker any more than it is.
Like incense, just let it burn.
Like, God damn, man. My wife, I always kind of protected her and didn't bring her around the business. And we went out to dinner with Rick and his wife, Michelle. And we go out, and, you know, the ladies are talking, and me and Rick belly up to the bar, and we're fucking pounding some fucking drinks. And we get to the table, and, you know, before the food even came, man, Rick was just fucking like,
doing the Kerry Von Erich deal.
I mean, gone, just fucking gone. And my wife was just like, that was like the first thing. And I told my wife, like, you know, you don't want to be around the pirate ship too much. I said, you know, and we came home that night, and she was in the car. She was just like, holy fuck. And then
you're like, see, I told you those guys.
Fast forward to fucking 1997, and I'm at the fucking Diamondbacks game behind home plate and fucking parking where the fucking players park. Game's over. Guys asking my wife, can you wake him up so I can sweep around him? So, oh well.
Now, Arn, that's a hell of a way to start a feud, isn't it?
I guess.
I mean, listen, Luger's on his way out, so right here, by the way, and this is a press conference that now we're starting to get used to seeing after major pay-per-views. Back then, this wasn't a thing that we saw very often. So the Kip Fry, who we talked about last week, there he was. We haven't seen, you know, for those that maybe didn't know what Kip Fry looked like, he's standing there with Sting, and he kicks it off, and it has a real feel. They're asking about Nature Boy, who we know is in the WWF, so that's kind of, oh, okay, this seems like kind of a real press conference here. And then all of a sudden, here comes the antagonist of all antagonists, Rick Rude, and ratchets us up. You guys looking as only you can in your tuxedos. And my God, this again feels very Horseman-esque.
Chaos. Not perfect camera shots, not perfect audio. Chaos. Felt really good. I enjoyed that.
It was so well done, like you said. No perfect camera, no music playing as you guys walked in, as they were prepared for it. It was just all done off the cuff and felt real. But I want you to talk about Rick Rude because, man, he's risen to the occasion here. I mean, I think that sometimes we forget about this period of his career. I mean, I know I've been guilty of it. I'll just say that. But he was so good here, and he had all the talent and ability as a heel in the world at this point.
Yeah, and he was regarded as one of the legitimate tough guys in the business. You know, he was really, really salty. And all the guys, Barry Darsow, Demolition, my friend, the Road Warriors, all those guys, Kurt Hennig, they always would talk about, hey, you don't want to mess with Rick Rude.
Okay, I'm going to give you two in a row here. So, Johnny says, my question is, really involves the Minnesota guys you grew up with in high school who became popular wrestlers like Rick Rude, Hennig, Animal, etc. And then Brendan M. also asks, I would love to hear some Hawk and Animal stories, like how did you guys meet? So, with the Minnesota crew, did you go to the same high school as everybody, or did you bounce at Grammar B's, or how did you sort of fall in with all these guys?
Got covered all that. Here's how. The first guy that I met was in junior high school, was Rick Rude. And we had gym class. And that was the last class of the day, 6 hour. And everybody wanted that because you go to gym, then that's a fun part of the deal. And school's kind of basically over. So anyways, I used to cut through the gym. And I'd go home because I just walked straight out the back of the high school and I lived 5 blocks away. So, showered up, did what we do and all that. And I come walking through and I see this guy, he's hiding behind these wrestling mats. And I walk over, it's Rick. I says, Rick, what's going on? He says, we're in 7th grade. He says, a couple of 9th graders waiting to beat me up. And I said to him, I said, come on, let's just go. He says, we'll be all right. So he lived totally the other direction, but he left with me. We walked out, nobody messed with us, And it turned out to be Ravishing Rick Rude years later. I mean, which is crazy. And I forgot all about this story till he brought it up on a private flight when it was me, Eric, Buff, and Rude. And Rick just got back into business. And we're sitting there. Buff's sitting here, Eric's sitting there, and Rick's sitting here. And I'm looking and there's some snot hanging off Rick's nose, and I'm going, oh God. I don't want to say, hey Rick, Grant. And Buff's looking, he's kind of like, it's kind of funny, So anyways, Marcus just grabbed a tissue and he says, here, Rick. And Rick went like this, he says, for crying out loud, Norch, he says, I've known you for 30 years. And you can't even help me out, tell me that I got a big snot hanging off my nose right in front of the boss on a private jet. And I'm going, Rick, you don't take stuff like that well. And then all of a sudden he brought that story up. And I just started, Rick, it was a really cool deal. But so Rick's the first guy I met.
Salvatore M says, basically in quotation marks, Rick Rude training stories will be something any fan will never get enough of. Please share everything about Rick Rude strength. And I'm going to add a couple more questions here. Russell Campbell asks, who did he feel was the biggest competition during his arm wrestling days, and did he ever arm wrestle Rick Rude? And Kosh Naranek says, I was thinking the same thing. I read in Power Slam years ago that Scott Norton was the only wrestler that Rick Rude couldn't beat in arm wrestling. So it's Rick Rude training, Rick Rude arm wrestling, and how good he was at, both, I suspect.
Okay, first off, Rick's the most determined guy you're ever going to meet. He just absolutely is. We went to a tournament in South Dakota one time. He was like 214, 15 pounds, and the cutoff was 217. The weight class is 195 to 217, I think it was. Then 217 over, which is weird because it's usually like 225 or whatever.
It's sort of the same in boxing in that weird way. There's like heavyweight, and then it's just plus. Yeah.
You got the lightweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, heavyweight, super heavyweight. So Rick found out that if he got down to 198 pounds, I think it was 198, he could wrestle light heavy and heavy. And the payoff was pretty good, So I says, Rick, you're 214 pounds. I says, how do you get to 198? Watch. And, so that night, he weighed in the next morning, it was 197. I just couldn't believe it. I says, he got a plastic, cellophane wrap. And he went in his shower and he sweated himself to death. He was working out all night, and He got down, and he won both those classes, and it was a big tournament in South Dakota. But anyways, Rick, his routines in the gym, as far as
that's all I have regarding what caused the tragedy of Rick Rude, the life and times of Rick Rude, 1958 to 1999. Gone but not forgotten. Rest in peace, Rick Rude. Your legacy lives on. And he definitely was a unique character. You guys let me know what you think of what you did or did not know about Rick Rude. Soon to videos will pop up, guys. You guys click the links below. You guys already know what it is at this point. It is OUT.